Hi, my name is Natalia Willette, and I am an attorney here in the state of Florida. And today I want to talk to my real estate investors about this consumer protection law that can get you in a lot of trouble if you don't follow its requirements. And it's called the equity skimming, equity protection law for investors. And the purpose of it is to prevent people that are in dire straits when it comes to their home because it's going to be foreclosed on by a mortgage, by a homeowners association, or by failure of paying their property taxes. And because they're in the situation, when they are approached by investors or by wholesalers who are offering their services to assist in delaying those foreclosure proceedings or in figuring out ways to tender payment on what is due by assisting them in selling their homes, these investors can get into a lot of trouble by not following these requirements under the law. So the law is called 501.1377 of the Florida statutes, and it's just called violations involving homeowners during the course of residential foreclosure proceedings. And what it essentially means is that if you are a wholesaler or if you are a person that approaches people who are in dire financial straits, offering to purchase their home and to either lease it back to them or have some sort of an agreement in which they get to stay in the home for a longer period of time than expected. If you are doing this without providing it to them in writing and complying with the requisite time period for them to walk back that agreement, you are violating the unfair trade practice requirements in the Florida statute, and you are going to be subject to civil liabilities and penalties. People can sue you to get their money back, plus their attorney's fees and costs for not complying with these written agreement requirements and timelines. And so I just want you to be aware that some of these things can impact you in your wholesale transactions. So number one, what is foreclosure related transaction? Well, a foreclosure related transaction means you are approaching somebody who is in risk of foreclosure with their residential property. So that's number one. It's got to be a residential property. It could be a multifamily or a single family, but it's got to be a residential type of property. Number two, they're in default. So if this person's in default, you're already on notice. They're in default. It's a residential property. You should be thinking of this act. Number three, you are offering to purchase their house, to receive title to their house, by either assisting them in delaying the foreclosure proceedings or assisting them in repaying their loan debt so that they can stay in the house for a longer period of time than they would otherwise expect, considering the fact that it's under and subject to foreclosure proceedings. These factors you need to keep in mind. So as soon as that happens, you are triggering the requirement that any services that you provide to them under this type of an offer have to be in writing. They are subject to a rescission 3-day period, and you have to provide them this written contract a day before they have to sign it, or a day before you want them to sign it. And even then, once they've signed, they have that 3-day rescission period. So please keep this in mind, because you can be subject to up to $15,000 in civil penalties and a complete and total rescission of what they paid you, plus their attorney's fees and costs. Do not make this mistake. Make sure you have these agreements in writing and make sure you have a good catalog of them. All right, investors, enjoy your Black Friday and Thanksgiving.